Good evening. It is Wednesday, August 11th, 2021, and coming to you live from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamb Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamb. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
What's going on, everybody?
We are live streaming on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com, and please check out our webpage, lambsports.com. You can find links to past shows and the current trivia question on the website. So, the first segment, you know what? Let's just talk about this for a minute.
Okay.
Instead of doing it that way, we're going to talk about this for a minute. We're going to talk about the Olympics today.
Okay.
How it's over, and I'm happy about it.
That's fair.
We're going to talk about Luka Doncic
Okay.
and signing a really big deal. Is that really a big deal, is the question. We're going to talk about Carmelo Anthony's moving on. We're going to talk about issues, quarterback issues specifically in the NFL, which is just ahead of preseason games, which have already started, and who knew? We'll talk about that too. Do you know the Little League World Series changed its format?
To what?
There's no international teams this year.
Cool.
So how do we have a World Series when it's just us?
The NFL does it every year.
I agreed.
Baseball, MLB does it even though they include Canada.
Well, no, see, that's at least two countries. World Championship can't be a World Championship if you don't have more than one country.
Yeah, but calling something international and only having two countries, and it's kind of weak. It's not even all the countries you border.
It's not. But as soon as Mexico gets on the ball and gets an NFL team, then we'll be in business.
Perfect. Whenever the Raiders finally, or
Right?
I guess they just got a stadium in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
they're probably not going anywhere.
They're not
Whenever
moving.
the Houston Texans move down there.
Right. I think somebody needs to. Probably
Yeah.
Houston. That's probably a good choice.
Yeah.
They're the second closest.
They could stand to relocate about right now.
And we'll talk about that too. That's funny. First part of the show is brought to you by The Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services. It's all under one roof at The Range, open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday 11 to 5. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. Phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamb Sports Show. The Range, educate, equip, and empower. So we're going to get right into it. We got lots of stuff. And the very first topic we're going to talk about is the Olympics. And I don't know about you, but while I do like the Olympic medals that are pictured right there, they're actually kind of pretty.
They're cool looking.
More classical looking than some of that other stuff that we've seen in the past. But
they're made out of recycled electronics.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they're made out of recycled electronics, so they're 100% recycled.
But would you would you recycle it? We're 100% made from recycled products.
Made from recycled products, electronics specifically. So
they use
the
precious
Tokyo
metals.
organizers, yeah, they use the metals inside of VCRs and TVs and things like that, and they made metals out of them.
Only in Japan.
Only in Japan. Pretty cool stuff, though.
That is pretty neat. So, did you like the Olympics? That's the first question.
No.
Okay. Is it because of the time difference?
Yes.
Was it because of the lackluster performance by the United States everything?
I mean, you can't call it lackluster when you're number one in gold medal count and total medal count,
but you're expected to win all that.
True.
That's the thing. It's not like we didn't have a Michael Phelps winning 30 gold medals. We didn't have.
There was no particular dominance.
Right.
That's for sure.
It didn't feel like we're really good at golf.
Yeah, it didn't feel like we went out there and crushed them.
We won both of those medals. But the women's soccer team was a disappointment.
Yeah.
They're getting old. They need to.
You can only be great for so long. I mean, even Michael Jordan had to retire, right?
Well, I don't know if he did or not, but he did.
That's true.
I felt like the women's soccer team was one of those disappointments that they needed to win this or be really close to winning this to back up all the hoopla around pay and whatnot. But I don't know why, because they're already better than the men's team. But
and that was the only reason I really cared if they did well is because I knew what would happen if they didn't, which is the moment they lost that first game to Sweden,
Mm-hmm.
and then immediately everyone's like, all the trolls are coming out of their little holes to talk trash about, here's a picture of Megan Rapinoe kneeling for the flag, and here's a picture of her. They superimpose that kneeling while a goal's going in, and things like that. And it's like, all right, well, there's those people. They're out now, and you gave them something to talk about. They needed it.
But there's a
That's
level
the
of
only reason
creativity behind
I
it.
wanted him to do well, is because I was like, I just don't want to hear that crap from people. I believe you guys always taught me, if you don't have something nice to say, you probably shouldn't say anything at all. That is not a thing anymore.
It isn't really, is it?
Say something, period, nice or mean. No one cares.
Yeah, no one really gives a crud, do they?
But no,
About
it was.
yeah.
We didn't
I,
crush anyone as a country. We barely won the medal count. All of our things looked fairly laborsome. Like,
yeah,
it was just
difficult.
okay. It
It
was
just,
okay.
I mean, the men's and women's basketball team both won gold, okay, but the women's team didn't. There was no issues. The men's team struggled a little. But
Yeah.
that's how that's been going, just because of the international players are getting better.
Well, hell, I mean, four of the guys who played were in like the roster rotation had just finished playing for a title in the
it's true,
NBA.
and that's not easy to do either. I mean, that's
And they say to finish that, have 4 days of turnaround before they're in Tokyo doing exhibition games.
it takes a minute or two. You can't just whip up a team of all. I mean, everybody seems to think, oh, you throw an all stars, like you just throw out a ball
Right.
and they start playing awesome. There's still timing issues. You
And
know what I
there's
mean?
and there's so FIBA shoots from the college 3-point line,
Right.
not the NBA 3-point line. For whatever reason, the NBA loves to be different, so that's a problem in and of itself. So there's an issue with that. It's like if you go from shooting on, I do it all the time at work. If I go from shooting at the NBA or the college, and then I walk over to the high school court, my first shot is going straight off the backboard.
Yeah, because it's too far. Yeah,
It's just you're like
too much
you haven't gauged that yet.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
So I give them a little adjustment time. Once they adjusted, they kind of looked like a classic Greg Popovich team, snoozing their way through the first half while staying close, and then just destroying people in the second half.
Yeah,
It was the least sexy brand of basketball USA men's basketball has ever played. Also coinciding with Greg Popovich is now the coach.
It's true. It wasn't very exciting. You're right, but it was. Some of that's because of, like I said, there's more talent throughout the world than there used to be.
It's true.
It's
true.
The United States is not. Well, they're still the dominant basketball producing country. They're not dominant necessarily in total, because that team from France is awful good. You saw United States lost to what, Argentina one year in a world championships or something, and I mean, there's been times when there's players from other countries that just aren't good, and they play together more than the United States does. Just because
and they play by those rules.
Same by the same rules. That's right.
Yeah, they not only do they play together more, they get the rules, because that's how they grew up playing.
Well, I like Winter Olympics better. I'm just gonna say that.
That's fair.
Because I like the events. I like the skiing events. I like the bobsledding.
There's more danger in winter.
There is more danger. There's a lot more sharp things. Yeah.
Every couple of years, somebody dies in the bobsled. It's unfortunate, but it makes you go, "Oh,
a luge or skeleton accident." Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Crap.
I mean,
I'm gonna peep into the bobsledding this year just in case.
And it's sad, but that's kind of however. I mean, the reason you watch a NASCAR race is because you want an accident. No, don't tell me it's because you want to watch a guy drive 500 miles. Not even.
You watch football to see some hard hits. You watch basketball to see slam dunks. We watch baseball to watch home runs. We want to see some action.
Yeah. And we've been kind of, Anyway, Olympics, I think this one just didn't have it for me. And part of it was time change. Part of it was the events. Part of it was just that, rowing, four-man scull rowing at 3 a.m. isn't sexy. It doesn't hold your attention, especially if it's a super long race. And that's the other thing. Who's, we're going to go watch the 5,000 meters on the track. 5,000 meters? That is a long time.
I don't have time for 500 meters.
Right? 5,000 meters is a lot of laps, and there's a lot of, oh my gosh, I only really need to see the last one. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, but we're gonna watch that, and however many hundreds of meters in the pool, right? It's 27 laps down. Oh my, really? Of butterfly, and I'm like, it's not exciting. I don't want to see this. I just want to see
27 laps of butterfly.
I don't really. breaststroke. That's the worst because it takes the longest,
It
and
really
they're just
does.
bobbing up and down for however long. It's just anyway. No offense to anybody who likes the Olympics, but I think the Winter Olympics are a lot better because I'd rather watch a ski accident, right, at high speed,
Yeah.
or I'd rather watch someone on the edge of crashing, racing down the
Yeah.
downhill, just halfway out of control and
And the
winning a
track
gold
and field
medal.
stuff is cool when it's,
Yeah,
when like when they're close races and things like that, but most of the time they aren't close races. And shot put, I mean, the problem with Olympic sports is that they're good. You watch it once and you go, "Damn, they threw that a long ways." And then
yeah,
the second person gets up and then you go, "They also threw that a long ways, but slightly shorter
but
or slightly more." And
right.
by about the third or fourth person, you're like, "Well, this
You're
sport has topped out in my interest.
you no
Moving
longer
along."
yeah you no longer have the attention to watch a javelin after the third or fourth one because the first one
Yeah,
the first one I'm going, wow, that thing really flies, look at that thing go, right? And then there was a
yeah.
point when I watched one and I said, wow, that's got a little spiral. They look like drew a spiral on the so it looks like a spiral going through there. I was like, that was really cool, for aesthetic purposes. It doesn't have anything to do with the javelin
Not
itself, but
yeah,
it was neat to see because that was the first time I noticed that somebody had done that. And
yeah.
then what amazes me is that thing sticks in the ground. They throw it and it sticks in the ground. I went, how did you do that? Because
And then
I
some dude in khakis and a polo runs over
runs
and
with a tape measure, a little
mark it with a
stick,
tape measure
yeah,
and marks
whatever.
it spot.
Oh,
That
here,
guy's got the most. That guy does more physical labor on
yeah,
match day for a javelin
yeah,
event than anybody else.
yeah. They run out there and examine the grass to make sure. Oh, this is where it hit. It's right here. Uh,
My favorite is like the four people that it takes to mark a long jump spot. There's like one guy who's practically facing the sand, and like three people all like pointing and saying, I think his heel hit right there. Why are we using sand?
and you've got well, you got to land in something soft. You
Well,
can't.
switch it to like clay, and it would make like a solid imprint. You'd know for
Oh,
sure where their foot hit.
yeah. I think you're
But
gonna
you'd make
break
sand, it all
something.
collapses and moves.
Yeah,
It has inherent
I mean,
problems.
you're right. You're right.
And then you want these people to just immediately turn and then go start running a race or something like that with sand in their shoes? It's preposterous.
those damn those damn decathletes or heptathletes or whatever it is that they're
It's
running around with
preposterous.
sand in their shoes. It's ridiculous.
What is the sport where they jump in the water? The steeplechase?
Yes, well, that's not. I
Why?
don't even know that's an Olympic event. I don't
But
even.
all right, regardless, why?
It's. Think of it as indoor, even though it's not indoor. I know you're going to say this, but think of it as indoor or contained cross country running, where you
Yeah,
literally have to jump over crap that's in your way on your way to wherever.
I have always thought it's so funny that you got all these guys and they're in like racing clothes and things like that. They're in like the really lightweight spikes and at some point you got to jump in the water for just a few seconds.
Just to get your feet wet.
Just a few about knee height water, you got to splash into it and they all like struggle out of it and then take off
They
again.
fall
They just like
down.
we're just going to wet up your insoles for a few
I
minutes.
know. And if you've never run in wet socks, oh my gosh,
It's the worst feeling on
that's
earth.
the worst thing ever.
Pretty much you'll chafe the skin right off the bottom of your foot.
It's just blister after blister. Anyway,
Yeah, not good.
the U.S. finished the games with 113 total medals: 39 gold, 41 silver, 33 bronze. China was second in total medals at 88. Um, they wow, that didn't go through. 38. Oh, they were second in total medals at 88, second in gold medals at 38, and second in silver medals at 32.
Gotcha.
So there you go. That's how that finished up. And if you're, you know what? I can't wait for winter. That's next year. We get Winter Olympics next year, which I guess
Yeah,
is
we're
this
gonna get
coming
three
winter.
Olympic games over the course of 3 years.
Yeah, like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, it's gonna feel exciting, and then it's gonna remind us why do we wait every 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's that too.
Why
Well,
don't we
we
just
could
do it
we
every
could do
year?
this. We could do this more often.
Yeah, we probably could. We could probably do it every 2 years if you get it.
Let's talk about let's let's talk about Mr. Bowlesby, the Big 12 commissioner,
Sure.
who accused ESPN and the American Athletic Conference of basically poaching his teams. Well, he accused ESPN of wooing Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC, right?
It's fair.
And,
Yeah.
and which they may have. And then he accused the AAC, the American Athletic Conference, of trying to come in and poach the rest of his teams, the remaining 8. And if you're adding at home, 2 that left and 8 that stayed does not equal 12.
Hmm.
But he accused the AAC that of trying to poach the rest of the teams, and said that if they could do that, it would break up the Big 12 and
Yeah.
effectively end their media rights deal so that ESPN could have their media rights deal with the SEC and add Oklahoma and Texas sooner.
Interesting. So he's accusing the ACC of trying to break up the band so
The,
that way they void their contract.
right.
Isn't
Correct.
isn't that what happened in that thing you do?
Yes.
They were on the hook for another album, and then Jimmy quit, which
Jimmy
voided their
quit.
contract.
He even
Yeah,
sang it, right?
yeah, I quit.
And
That's right. Yeah,
yeah,
so he quit, and they voided their contract. So that's what they're trying to do. They're saying the ACC, but they're saying the ACC tried to manipulate it.
AAC.
The AAC, the American Athletic
yeah,
Conference.
There we go.
I keep saying ACC,
Yeah,
but I
different
mean the one with Houston in it.
the one with Houston in it, right?
Yeah, so they tried to break up the band to get them to void their contracts. That way ESPN could capitalize off it.
He's basically blaming ESPN for all of it, saying that they wooed away Oklahoma and Texas, which they may have, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And then he's saying that the ESPN convinced the American Athletic Conference that they could pick up the rest of those teams or some of those teams enough to dissolve the Big 12, so that Oklahoma and Texas could leave earlier. And a lawyer's going to find a way to get them out next year anyway.
Yeah, they were going to leave.
There's going to be a payout or something or whatever. And the Big 12 is effectively going to be disaster unless they just add 2 teams, but I don't know what they're going to add or how good it's going to be.
I'm just saying ESPN's owned by Disney, and ever since Disney ruined Star Wars, I would not put it past them to do some shady things like this.
Yeah, the evil empire. Yeah.
Yeah, they are the evil empire now. Who'd have thought at some point you'd get like a company making movies from the evil empire side of you?
So, how do you feel about Oklahoma and Texas in the SEC?
I don't think there's not much to feel about it. I mean, it from a biggest conference, biggest most present conference, and including 2 very very high profile teams, it makes sense. It seems like it'll work. Texas hasn't been a good team for a long time, so it stands to reason that they're going to kind of jump into the conference, and unless the conference makes efforts to make them good again, don't know how they do that, but that's going to be some collusion of some sort, then they're probably going to fade into obscurity in that conference. It feels like they're getting lured in like, oh, come join the best conference. This will be great for you. You'll be more exposure. You'll play SEC teams, blah, 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 blah. Then they're going to get there, and they're going to remind them that the other SEC teams that were there already are going to get, preference. We're going to give preference to Georgia over Oklahoma. We're going to give preference to LSU over Texas.
Maybe.
And they're going to be second fiddle, but they're going to be in the biggest conference. So I don't know. I don't like it, but at the end of the day, college football needs a major redo, needs a major facelift. And if this is going to lead to that facelift, then so be it. We're going to endure 5 years, 6 years of crappy SEC dominated television like we've been dealing with for 20 years.
Right.
So I don't know.
And by the way, ESPN denied it, of course, because what else are they going to do? What I mean,
yep.
They're not going to say, "Oh yeah, we did it."
I can easily see ESPN doing that. Oh, I have never.
What are the righteous indignation that comes out?
I would never.
What are you talking about?
The
this
nerve.
Is preposterous.
They say from their Bentleys with their monocles. We would never.
Well, yeah, and then of course, if the AAC were to grab all 8 of the other Big 12 teams, they'd have 19 teams in their conference, and that's a disaster waiting to happen. I don't think that's a thing either. I think that's more likely.
That's the weird part of that is that the SEC convinced the AAC to try and help them out of a jam. And go ahead and poach some teams like that. That means that there was collusion between the SEC and the ACC and ESPN.
Now,
AAC and ESPN.
Would it surprise you if the SEC said, "If you do this, we'll play more non-conference games against you guys"?
Absolutely not.
See, so absolutely not. That's where the
SEC holds all the cards because either you have to go undefeated, or you have to beat a litany of SEC teams. That's the only way to get any credit on the national stage. So if you don't do that, then you're never going to be taken seriously. If Houston wants to make it to a playoff, they got to beat 2 SEC teams, 3 SEC teams, and they're never going to schedule those games.
Yeah.
So it would not surprise me.
So stay tuned for more on this. We're going to have more. And right now, well, not right now, but I mean, shortly, the NCAA is going through its revamping process. They've made like a 600,000 person committee to try and study what their new role should be.
10,000 person committee.
We're going to pay some extra people too that weren't even involved. But I want to say it's like 26 person or 23 person committee that they've assembled.
Yeah.
NCAA committee members assemble. And I don't know. I feel like it's they're trying to figure out what their new role should be, how they should be involved, if they should be involved, what are they going to do, and so more to follow because they're kind of powerless at the moment to do anything about anything, and not that they would in this anyway, but it's going to become a mess before it gets better, if it gets better.
Again, it all needs a facelift. It all needs to kind of change a little bit, and sometimes the way because the way it was going was not great, with the SEC getting credit for everything they were doing and blah blah blah. It was not good before.
Right.
Now it looks like it's going to be, I'm not going to say worse, but different, but not better.
More differenter.
So more different, but not better.
Right.
Same, but different.
Same.
So I don't know how that's going to shake out.
All right. Well, let's next topic. Luka Doncic.
Yes.
Signed a rookie supermax deal for 5 years that's worth $207 million.
Yeah.
He's a bona fide all-star. This guy's the real thing.
Seems that way.
He's an MVP candidate.
Seems that way.
Okay. But did the Mavs stand a chance of winning a title with him? Because I feel like he's going to be okay. So I feel like there's two ways to win a title, and one is you get a bunch of young superstars that are not quite to his level yet, that are good enough to bring the team to that level, or you do the LeBron way, which is, hey, you want to come play for me, and I will take a pay cut, and AD will take a pay cut, and you can come and we'll give you some money too, and we'll assemble 16 40-year-olds and try and win that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Dallas is stuck with Luka Doncic for the next 100 years, and it will be hard to find another player of his caliber, and they need to come play while they're still paying him all this money.
Well, they had a golden opportunity, and Porzingis just underperformed. That squad with him and Porzingis and a couple of the other pieces they had around him, Dewey Finney-Smith and Tim Hardaway Jr., that was a good squad. That's a squad that was very well built and was competitive. But it was still missing something. And I don't think they're ever going to get that something because, like you said, I don't think they're ever going to be able to convince guys to come play with them like that. I don't think Luka is as charismatic of a player as, say, a LeBron, as, say, a Donovan Mitchell, as, say, Devin Booker. I don't feel like he draws talent to be around him.
Right.
I feel like talent looks at him and goes, oh, he's good by himself. He doesn't need any help. And that's not great.
And I think part of the problem is that he's I don't want to use the term ball hog, but he is a guy who wants the ball in his hands 24/7, all the whole possession. You know what I mean?
That's why I'm curious to see how he shakes out after next year. So this year they're implementing the new illegal shooting motion, or what's it called? Unnatural shooting motion rules.
Sure. Let's call it the drawing a foul rule.
Yeah, the drawing a foul rule. Well, Luka Doncic shoots 9 free throws a game at a minimum.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to impact his game in a very, very large way. He's going to have a lot of shots that don't go in, a lot of fouls that don't get called, or a lot of offensive fouls that get called, because that's that's what they're steering towards, is either that's an unnatural shooting motion is an offensive foul. It's a charge.
Right.
And that means that if you draw 3 more charges a game, now you're sitting a little bit, and now your team's not competing when you're on the court.
True.
Blah, blah, blah. So that's why I say, like, when you said, oh, he's a bona fide, all-star, I was like, we'll see. Because next year things could impact that.
Sure, but I think he's still a great player. I think he's going to be a great player. It's just a matter of, can he be, what's the system going to do to him, and how long can he sustain it, and is he going to be happy in Dallas? Clearly, he's got 5 years. But
my prediction is that he ends up as a bench player, or a role player, not a bench player, a starter, but a role player on a team that has more pieces.
Yeah.
Like maybe he'll go to a team with Giannis.
Right. Yeah,
and it's like, oh, no, that makes a lot of sense.
I think he has to join someone else, or someone else has to join him in Dallas.
And I don't think anybody's going to join Dallas.
Well,
the only way they got Porzingis was by trading to snatch him away.
So let's talk about someone who's not moving, and that's Kawhi Leonard. Uh,
Yay.
Re-signing with the Clippers, his decision to stay came the same day that Reggie Jackson signed a 2-year, $22 million deal to remain with the Clippers. He's recovering from surgery to repair a torn ACL, and this is
Yeah.
Leonard and not Jackson. But
Yep.
it kept him out of LA's last 8 playoff games this last year, which just seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
With a healthy Kawhi Leonard, assuming he stays healthy, can they challenge what the Lakers are building for the West title?
As long as Paul George stays.
You think that's enough if they have Jackson and George and Leonard?
So
And
we talked about this earlier in the season that the Clippers are one of those teams that you're over here and you're talking about Utah. Oh, Utah's crushing it. Blah, blah, blah. Phoenix is killing it. Oh, the Lakers, they're struggling, but they're doing pretty good. Portland's right in the thick of the hunt. And blah, blah, blah. Now let's go talk about the East. And you just forgot to talk about the Clippers. And they're always that team, but they're a 55 to 60 game team.
And I'll tell you what.
Because of those guys, and they're just that good.
And why is that, though?
Why are they that good?
No, why do we not talk about them?
Oh, because we talk about the Lakers.
Well, because they haven't been to a finals.
Well, true, but this year they broke the previous curse, which is that they've never been to a Western Conference Finals, and now they have. And so if they break that curse again, now they're going to a finals.
You've gotten to a point, as the Clippers, you've gotten to a point where the rest of the world says, show me you can win this, and I will believe you.
Well, they say that to the Blazers all the time, yet they still talk about them.
The Blazers can't win it. I know they can't. So I don't even know where that comes from.
We all know that.
No, there's not a chance.
That's why this upcoming year I'm officially signing with the Seattle Kraken for my fandom.
That's right. We're for sale, for sure.
Because the Blazers don't want me.
I don't feel like even if they just kept the same team they had this last year, they're good. But I think the Lakers are building something better. And it's only because, I mean, like I said, that friends are persuading friends to come play basketball.
Well, I mean, just think about the Clippers versus the Suns. The Suns are pretty much going to stay intact, and they were a finals team.
Yeah.
And the Clipper in all of those games were 2, 3, 4-point games without Kawhi. Now, if Kawhi's locking down Devin Booker, who struggled as it was, or maybe Devin Booker's on the bench because he's in foul trouble because he's a little aggressive defender. Now he's locking down whoever your next best player is, Bridges or something like that. It's not a good situation. They were in a better situation that I have a feeling that they would have beat the Suns. It took everything the Suns had to get through the Clippers, and the Suns were a good team.
Yeah.
The Clippers, prior to Kawhi going down, I think were bound for the finals. And then that's a huge injury.
So let's talk about the aforementioned LA Lakers. Carmelo Anthony signed a 1-year free agent deal to become a Laker with LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook.
Ooh.
And I personally think it's a terrific move from Melo.
It's a smart move for him.
Right. He stands to gain a championship ring out of the deal, right? If that team can stay out of the geriatric ICU. And
COVID's going to run rampant through that locker room.
I mean,
at those ages.
Can the Lakers keep it together long enough for a season? Do you think they have the ability, or is it always going to be that one injury that keeps them from being right? You know what I mean? Because it's always, the end of the year is when you're most prone to injury, right?
It stands to reason that, so we're saying this despite the fact they won a title 2 years ago.
Right.
I mean, I'm asterisking that title because it was, there was a 5-month rest period before it happened and all this stuff. Like, I'm just not giving it the credit because Anthony Davis was about to get that injury any day now. And they just managed to bypass that. The whole team managed to bypass that. It helps 40-year-olds tremendously to get an extra 5 months rest before you have to play. So I think that one, they did just win a title though. So they've got one. And I don't think that they're ever going to get one again, though, because I think what you're saying is correct. There's always going to be that injury. I think Anthony Davis is going to get hurt in February and then again in April. And I think LeBron James is going to have some He's not. He's a center.
Yeah, he's
He's a
like
power
every
forward
other.
on paper, but he's a center. He's huge.
There's
He's got growing pains.
there's only been like 3 or 4 centers ever. You know what I mean? 5 or 6, whatever. That there's a handful of guys you can point to and go, this guy here played all the games, and he was.
Yeah.
It's rare that
Played
he was
15
injured.
years and maybe
Yeah,
missed 10 games.
there's
Like
only
that never happens.
there's only a few of them, and everyone else that is 7 foot tall has leg injuries. Why? Because they have long legs, and there's a lot of beating going down on those ankles and knees, and I you're just bound to have it. So
Well, and Anthony Davis, he did have 4 years with the Pelicans where he wasn't getting hurt,
no,
and
yeah,
then all of a sudden he started getting hurt. So his prime, just out of college after that first year, somewhere in that second to fifth year, sixth year,
right,
that was wasted in New Orleans.
yeah,
And
we
now
did.
he's on the downside of his career injury wise. And LeBron, he's grabbing strains every year now. Ankle strains, knee
Yeah.
strains, shoulder strains. They're
Wear and
accumulating.
tear. It's just wear and tear on
Yeah.
your body, and then when you have one, the next one's a little more serious. The next one's a little
Yeah.
more serious, and it's just kind of a strain. Excuse me, a strain by itself is not a big deal, but when you have
Yeah.
one, and the next 6 months later you have another one, they start to add up.
And Melo hasn't been super injury plagued, so I'll give him that credit, but his play on court has deteriorated pretty dramatically. So
Yeah.
he's not the Melo he was 4 years ago, who wasn't the Melo he was
He's-
2 years before that. So
He's 37, so
yeah, he's
there's
been playing
that.
for a long time.
Yeah, I mean he's not super young.
He remembers the time when the prerequisite for playing basketball was that your shorts were below your knees.
but he's yeah, I guess is that
Mid
is that a thing?
mid thousands basketball. None of this mid thigh crap that they're doing nowadays.
Well, I mean that's just it all comes around. It's cyclic because go back to the 80s, they were all mid thigh.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
so-
I mean, but being fair, they were all like,
Short shorts.
mid thigh from like the 70s, the
Tighty
60s,
shorts,
all
yeah.
the way through the. It wasn't until like
Well,
the mid 90s when it started to get they lengthened out.
I feel like there was a fabric shortage for a long time, and that's why
Is that what it was?
that's why their shorts were short. And then all of a sudden they go, "Huh, we have more fabric now. Why are we
Hey.
doing short shorts? We can make them longer."
I'm gonna credit Reaganomics with ending the fabric shortage
It's about
and leading to the lengthening of NBA
It's
shorts
about
starting in
right.
about 93.
I think it's right. I think you're right. I mean, I think that was a first Bush administration policy they put in to buy more fabric. So speaking of geriatrics, we've got our trivia question. The Best Lamb Sports Show trivia question is brought to you by Stave & Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. The winery at the Vineyard, 3827 Fletcher Drive, is open 7 days a week from 12 to 6 for indoor and patio dining. Go to staveandstone.com and check out their selection of award-winning wines or make a reservation and go taste for yourself. You can call them 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750. Or you can email them, info@staveandstone.com for more information. Stave & Stone, wines with personality. So the Stave & Stone trivia question. Are you ready?
Yep.
The Lakers' current roster, this includes with Melo, this is like what they have right now, will have an average age of 31.83 years old at the start of next season. What's the record for the oldest average age for an NBA team?
Ooh.
Yeah, what year and what team?
What was this year's one? The Lakers, they were 38 point what?
31.8 years.
Oh, I thought you said 38.1.
Oh,
Sorry,
38
31
years.
point-
Jeez.
I mean,
Wow, that would be old.
31.83.
31.83. So hang on to that thought. We'll answer at the end of the
Okay.
show. So, yeah, so we need to go to the second part of the show, the last half. Are you ready?
Okay.
Brought to you by Boss Kitty Yarns. I know we got 2 commercials back to back, but bear with us. Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Be sure to tune in to BossKittyLive.com at 6 p.m. every Monday and Wednesday and 11 a.m. every other Sunday for fun, fiber, games, tutorials, and the occasional F-bomb. Go to BossKittyShop.com. Get your DK and fingering weight yarns as well as stitch and progress markers. Looking for a gift? Get them a Boss Kitty Shop virtual gift card and let them pick it out themselves. I think that's the best way to go, to be honest with you. That's Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Yarn so boss, you'll knit your pants. So, second half of the show, we're going to talk football because football is coming, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
The NFL is right around the corner. The Hall of Fame game was when? Last Thursday?
Last Thursday.
And I didn't even know it had happened.
Yep. I had no clue.
I didn't see any advertising for it. I didn't see I mean, I haven't been watching a crap ton of TV, so there's that. But I didn't
Yeah.
see any advertising for it. I had no idea that it was a real thing. And there it was. And now I'm looking at this schedule, and like everybody plays on Saturday or Sunday this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend is the first big weekend of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for NFL football, it will be on this weekend. You will see it, and almost every team is going to be out there. They're not all on TV, of course, but
Yeah.
you'll be able to see something. So I'm excited because I like NFL football. I do.
Yeah.
But there's some stuff going on. There's quarterback issues around the league.
Tons of them. Yeah.
Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers,
Okay.
which may or may not be an issue now, but it was an issue. He's under contract for one more year. They've restructured the deal that he had, right? Because he was willing to sit out, I think, and or demand a trade.
Sounds right.
He was willing to sit out 1 year. He wanted Randall Cobb back on the team, one of his favorite wide receivers, and he got it. They went out and did it. He isn't playing any of the preseason games. I'm sure that was negotiated out.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do any of the training camp because, he's 36? 7. I think he's 37.
Yeah.
Hold on. He was drafted in 05. What does that make him? 30, almost 38. Yeah, so
Sure.
37, almost 38. So he's going in on his, 16th year or 17th year of playing NFL football. By the way, he's the number 24 overall pick in 05. Not that means anything. How will the fans react? Well, hold on. Let's back up. His contract was restructured so that it looks like it is the last year he's going to play in Green Bay, win or lose. How do you think the fans are going to react to Aaron Rodgers and the holdout and or negotiations and or general bad feelings he may have had towards ownership, leadership? How do you think the fans will react at first, and how many wins will it take to get rid of said bad feelings?
Oh, well, I don't think they'll have bad feelings.
You don't think so?
I think that most people are on the side of Aaron Rodgers. I think that most fans are going, yeah, they haven't given him anything to work with forever. And then they traded away Randall Cobb. Why? I have a feeling that most people are sympathizing with the fact that he has pretty much alone carried this team. And they know that, and he knows that, but the team doesn't seem to quite recognize that. So I think that there will be no bad feelings. I think that week 1, he's going to come out. Packers fans are going to erupt. Fans of his around the league are going to be happy about it. I don't think it'll matter.
Have you had a Crybaby 12 beer yet?
No. It was pretty good.
Stevens Point Brewery, which is Stevens Point, Wisconsin,
Sure.
earlier this summer put out a Crybaby 12 beer. And of course,
exciting.
It's in the Green Bay Packers colors. And that's why I asked this, is because if there's a brewery putting out a Crybaby 12 beer in jest of Aaron Rodgers and the situation, I think fans take that crap seriously. And Green Bay is one of those places where I think they're less forgiving. It's not Philadelphia, but I think they're less forgiving than other cities. I am curious to see how he's received, and I don't think it'll take long if they win for them to go, yeah, okay, we were wrong. You can do whatever you want. But I still feel like,
assuming that they are angry, he's going to need to win about 10, 11 games. He's going to need to make a playoff.
Well, what happens if he comes out and he's rusty because he hasn't played any preseason, hasn't done any training, and he comes out and they lose the first couple of games? How big will the booze be, or will there be?
There will be no booze. The guy brought you a title.
People can't remember that.
You ungrateful hags.
I agree with you, but people aren't that. People don't remember that. They only remember what you did last game.
Yeah, but the average age in Wisconsin is like 55, so they do remember that.
Speaking of geriatric ICU, and they all eat sausage and drink beer. You're right, and eat cheese.
Pretty much, yeah. They're all the same. They
agree.
all look the same. No, I don't think that the fans are going to mind that much. I think that there's a couple people who are upset. I think that somebody saw an opportunity to make some money, and I read an article about it, just now, and it's like, oh, it's been a hit, been a huge success for us. All right, you capitalized on a trending thing, It's just all it was. I'm not crediting. I'm not going to give too much thought to the fact that Aaron Rodgers might be bad or rusty, because he's never shown that. What's it called? 2 years ago, last year, he played, I think, a total like 15 minutes in preseason games. Are you trying to tell me that 15 minutes is the deciding factor? If he plays 15 minutes this preseason, he won't be rusty anymore. Like, he can do 15 minutes of practice, he'll be fine. He can do 15 minutes with his receivers,
It's a quarter
in a
game.
personalized workout. I know it's different, but the guy's played it how many seasons
Okay,
now? He knows what to expect.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm just calling it.
I want to apologize to both the people listening in Wisconsin and who choked on their bratwurst while we were talking about that. So yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, winning cures everything, and it won't matter if he wins, so they won't care.
True.
All right,
It's true.
Let's move to Baltimore.
Baltimore.
And let's talk about Lamar Jackson. By the way, he was the number 32 overall pick in 2018. He tested positive for COVID again. This is his second time.
Second COVID suit.
And he doesn't seem to be too excited about getting vaccinated. Jackson said it was a personal decision and, quote, when he was asked about it, whether he was going to whether he would get the vaccine, he said, and I quote, I just got off the COVID list. I got to talk to my team about this and see how they feel about it. Keep learning as much as I can about it. We'll go from there. Also, he said, I'm just going to keep my feelings to my family and myself. I'm focused on getting better right now. I can't dwell on that right now, how everybody else feels. Just trying to get back on the right routine. What I heard him say was, I'm disinclined to acquiesce to your request.
Means no.
Means no. Because he's clearly not going to get vaccinated. I mean,
I feel like it's an interesting thing. If you ask anybody, hey, are you vaccinated? The answer is yes, or it's, well,
a personal decision.
Let me explain it.
Right.
Athletes are going with this personal decision thing. That's the way they're getting through. Well, I don't trust. Well, I think it needs more time to be proved. Well, this, well, that. It's not going to be a no. They're never just going to say no. People who aren't vaccinated will never just say no. And if they will just say no, it tells you a lot more about them too.
Right.
Because I'm willing to bet there's a couple guys out there you'd say, hey, are you vaccinated? They go, hell no. And it's like, well, I know who you voted for.
But I am more willing to give you respect if you came out and just said, no, I'm not. I'm not
for
going
real,
to.
though. Yeah,
absolutely.
It'd be nice. You don't have to dance around it, but you've gotten it twice. And there's a chance that you're going to catch it a third time.
And how many people have you infected? How many people have you infected with it? That's what I don't understand, because we can't trace that.
The thing to think about is he hasn't gotten sick twice. He's just tested positive twice.
Correct.
Correct. And should be a huge reminder to everybody that this is a thing you can carry around.
I think he had more symptoms this time than he did the first time. It affected him a little bit more, so that's where the I'm focused on getting better right now comes from. He actually was suffering from some effects of the COVID, which I don't know.
Tough when you're not vaccinated.
It is, yeah. You can't expect to not get it if you're not vaccinated. We watched the local news today, and I know, like in Oregon, it's the same as Washington. They're mandating that healthcare workers and or state employees become vaccinated.
Yeah. Yep.
And I literally just watched a nurse, not so much picketing, we'll say demonstrating, outside the hospital here in Yakima on the news tonight, tell me that she wasn't anti-vaccination, but that it was her body and her choice, and she wasn't going to get vaccinated, and we demand freedom. A mandate is hate, is what the sign said. And I said to myself, how can you be a nurse and do that? I don't understand that hypocrisy level. It seems to me to be a little, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Someone needs to explain it to me, because I just don't understand it. I heard another guy. I heard and I'm not going to name him, but I heard a highly respected NFL analyst say today. He goes, most of these NFL players are getting shot up with drugs and chemicals on a weekly basis to keep them playing football, and they have no idea what's in that, but they're not willing to get vaccinated.
Right.
Yeah. That seems also hypocritical.
Every year you're willing to go out and get a flu vaccination, but you're not willing to do this.
Right.
You're willing to get a mumps vaccination, but you're not willing to do this.
Right.
Why? Because a group of people have said that this might be bad, or you think that there's some political leanings on it. Get over yourself. Get over it. Just get damn vaccinated. And don't put your team in jeopardy, Lamar.
Yeah, do it for the rest of the people.
Which is what he's going to do. He's going to get sick. He's going to have to sit out a game. And let's be real about his career so far. He came out and he had a pretty okay first year. His second year, wow, looked incredible. 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, looked fantastic. Then he stepped back. They went from 12 or 13 wins to 11 wins. He dropped about 1,000 passing yards or so. Yeah. He dropped 10 touchdowns. You're not getting any better. Now's the time to prove you're better. And you sitting out games because you catch COVID? Come on now. Come on now. Just
Yeah,
be better. Yeah.
I think everyone out there knows the feelings of the show on this subject. We've been saying that for since the COVID started. Wear your masks, wash your
Wear your
hands,
mask.
get
Wash your hand.
vaccinated.
Wash your damn hands. Yeah.
If you do those three things, you may get it still, but it's going to be a lot less severe. And if you know you've got it, by all means, you need to stay away from people and isolate and do whatever you have to do and try to prevent from the spread. And that's the whole point of the mask and the washing the hands and all that stuff. If you're not
Oh yeah.
doing any of that, then you obviously don't care about any other human. That's my
Or
opinion.
oh, see, I feel like people will never admit that though. Even if they don't, even if it's like, oh well, no, it's a personal choice, or it's in line with what I believe, or blah 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 blah. Insert excuse here for why you don't care about anybody else's life,
Right.
and you'll be able to find out more about them. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just think he should get it done. I think because especially it being his second time, if this year if I see a player, and I'm happy that the NFL has come out and taken a hard stance on this.
Yep.
If you cannot participate due to COVID, that's a forfeit. We're not rescheduling
I like
shit.
I
love
like
it.
it. I like
I love it. Yeah, no, you fix your problems
Yeah.
or you get the heck out. That's
Right.
one of those two things.
And
That's why Seattle is 98% vaccinated as a team.
and he could clearly cost his team a game if he gets it and spreads it, because he's
Oh,
not
yeah.
going to know immediately, you know what I mean, that he's got it. And anyway, that's why would you cost yourself a team, and especially if it was, what if it's a game you were going to win? You know what I mean? What if it was one of those gimme
Oh,
games where you're
yeah.
playing somebody terrible and you know you're going to
playing
win
the
that game?
Jets and
Right.
then you have to sit.
Yeah, and then or more, 7 or 8 players on your team have to sit, and you lose the game because your team was not ready to play because you did that. I
Just
mean,
not smart.
and you don't
It's
make the
just not
playoffs because you miss it by a game. Then what? Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, let's you definitely don't want to get sick against the Jets. But that's whatever. So Deshaun Watson, a whole different story in Houston, which seems to have been okay. It hasn't changed. The situation surrounding Deshaun Watson hasn't changed. He's still being accused of sexual assault.
Yeah.
I mean, by multiple women.
Yep.
But it seems like they've done a pretty good job of sweeping this under the rug.
Well, it just hasn't had anything. This is not defending it. Nothing else has changed since the last time somebody mentioned it 3 months ago.
Right.
Nothing is different.
And
just waiting on a deposition.
Right. It hasn't gotten to the. It hasn't gotten anywhere, and so
that's the 24-hour news cycle. Cycle stuff's out pretty quick.
They're trying. They're doing a very good job of low key and not making any statements and not doing anything. Houston
there's not a lot to do because Houston and Deshaun Watson. Houston says we're waiting to see what happens. So that just leaves the two people left: Deshaun Watson's party and the accusers' parties.
Yeah.
So, and Deshaun Watson said, "Go. We need to see your proof." And they said, "We're going to show it to you at the deposition." I'm like, okay.
Is he?
Here we are.
Is he going to play this year?
Yes.
Is it going to matter for Houston?
No. if this team was in Portland, yes. It's in Texas. They don't care about anything.
Well, and
anything.
But their team has been. There's nothing on that team anymore. This team is going to finish last in their division.
Yeah, even if he does play, they're not going to be fantastic.
Right.
But he's going to play.
Okay, so I'm wondering how much he'll play, or if they won't try and develop someone else after 4 or 5 games. They're 0-4, 1-3, whatever. Would they just maybe
that could be the case? They could tank,
start playing someone else, and try and get them some reps, in preparation for what happens next year, if anything happens next year. I don't know, but I'm just saying it seems this Houston seems like a team that is in complete flux, and I have no idea what to expect other than I don't think they're going to be very good. So, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. They lost their wide receivers. They lost J.J. Watt. I mean, there's not much there that's left. So, we'll see. We'll find out.
They asked the head coach of the Texans, David Culley. They asked him, hey, is he going to play this preseason? Mm-hmm. And the coach said no comment. So, yeah. And then he went on to say we're working through that. That's it. That's all you got.
It means he's gonna know, maybe.
It means that there's a decision from somebody up higher that's going to decide it, probably.
Yeah.
But I would not put it past them.
He
I
he
would say they're going to play.
he could end up just being one giant distraction to the team in general. I mean, he might not. This whole thing may be nothing because nothing's happening for quite a while. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those decisions where if your team was going to be bad anyway, you make the decision to not let him be the distraction either. And so that way, you can train some other people and not
Yeah.
blame it on him being distracting the rest of the team or being the
It's
you
just
know
amazing that J.J. Watt leaves, and you're just like, oh yeah, they're probably going to suck.
it wasn't just JJ Watt. They lost other players. They're just not going to be the same football team. They're just not. And JJ
Yeah,
Watt
I agree.
hasn't been the same player. I mean, he's struggling with his own health injuries. So he's not the same player he was when he came in the league. But anyway, let's talk about your favorite team,
Woo.
which is the Miami Dolphins. I mean the Denver
Oh.
Broncos. So the Denver Broncos have a quarterback battle going on right now as we
Perfect.
speak. Drew Lock,
Yep.
who I guess is technically the incumbent. He's technically the guy who has the job.
Yep.
And Teddy Bridgewater, who they hired
Teddy.
to do the job.
Teddy B, baby.
So, who's your guy? If you had to pick right now, which one of those would you go with?
I have zero loyalties to Drew Lock. He's not my guy. He never was my guy. When they drafted him, I rolled my eyes so hard I damn near fell out of my seat. Teddy Bridgewater's the guy. Teddy Bridgewater's got more experience. Teddy Bridgewater's had success everywhere he's been. Drew Lock has had this team for 2 seasons now, and he's always managed to be he has these great moments. These moments where you go, damn, this guy's got upside. But for every one of those moments, he's got 7 moments where he's getting sacked or throwing an interception or doing a stupid play. Part of this is on Coach Fangio. Man, I'm getting riled up right now. Part of this is on Coach Fangio. And Coach Fangio drives me up a flipping wall with the way he coaches a team. But I think that Teddy Bridgewater is the better athlete. I think that Teddy Bridgewater is the better decision maker. I think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the starting quarterback come week 1.
Okay.
And that's who I want to be the starting quarterback.
And by the way, just because we're on this kick, Deshaun Watson was the number 12 overall pick in 2017. Drew Lock is the second round, number 42 in 2019. And Teddy Bridgewater was the number 32 in 2014. So
I was watching the draft with Drew Lock that Drew Lock got picked in with a bunch of friends, and the joke kept being, who's going to take Drew Lock? What stupid team's going to take Drew Lock? And Peyton Manning had just announced that he wasn't coming back, and I was like, it could be us. I hope not, though. And then sure enough,
it was your team. And
it was my
there's
team.
nothing worse when there's that guy that plays the position that your team needs, but you don't want that guy on your team,
right.
and then your team takes him, and you go, really?
Darn it! Yeah,
that was Tua last year. For me,
I
did not.
You were not a big Tua supporter.
I'm still not a big Tua supporter. I don't think they're going to improve. I think they've spent a lot of money trying to make Miami better around him. That's not how it works necessarily. He's got.
Yeah, but the difference here though is that there was fans of Miami who supported Tua, and you had a moment where if as a team, if you didn't draft Tua, you had to deal with some fallout.
Sure.
The Broncos did not have to deal with any fallout from drafting Drew Lock. They had drafted anybody else. They'd have been fine.
I would suggest to you that if Miami was in a different town, if it had been the Seattle Seahawks in the same situation, you wouldn't have had the same fallout about not drafting Tua.
Agreed. It's not in the South.
It's in the South. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing, and I understand where they're coming from. I know that those people think he's the best quarterback available, but he wasn't, and I think it was a mistake. But it remains to be seen.
Should have taken Justin.
It remains to be seen. Oh God, I would have loved that. But anyway,
how about the rookie of the year, Justin Herbert, who fell behind Tua?
Yeah, we don't want to talk about the guy that set
we should avoid that.
All the rookie quarterback records.
All of them broke every Russell Wilson record known to man.
And as someone pointed out, on a team with the worst offensive line statistically in football. Whatever.
Woo.
I mean, woo. Anyway, but yeah, Tua was a better choice. You're right. Guy with coming off a hip injury that. Anyway,
it seems like the Dolphins really know what they got going on.
I don't. You know what? I haven't. Where's Dan? Where's Dan Marino? Can you just suit him up? He'd still be better than Tua. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Let's talk about the Colts because Carson Wentz went down. Well, he didn't really go down. He's had an injury nagging him, I guess, since childbirth or whenever high school or something, in his foot, and I still don't know what it was. But he underwent surgery on August the 2nd to repair that thing in his foot. He is at camp. He's out of his boot. He's walking without a limp, and they say he may be ready week 1.
Heck yeah.
I was told 5 to 12 weeks. Well, this is on the 5 side, right?
Right.
So if he's ready, clearly they're going to play him, right?
I would. Yeah. You're paying them a
Because
lot of money. I'd play him.
your options behind that are Jacob Eason, Sam Ellinger, Brett Hundley,
A lot of young guys and
and
Brett Hundley.
so I kind of feel like no matter what happens, they're going to play him week 1 if he says I'm ready to go.
If he gives you the indicator that he's ready to go, if the trainers give you the indicator, and if your medical staff gives you the indication, yeah, play him.
All right.
Play him.
So Carson Wentz,
Because he'll say I'm ready, but
sure. Carson Wentz was the number 2 overall pick in 2016. How soon before we could see? What week? Let's not say that. Let's not say how soon before. Let's just say what week of the season do we figure Jacob Eason, Sam Ellinger, or Brett Hundley comes in relief? Because I feel like this is going to happen. This is a matter of time.
Yeah.
What do you think? What week of the season are we going to see the backup quarterback because Carson Wentz is out again?
Week 8.
Ooh, I was only going to say 6.
No.
Oh, 8. All right.
Yeah. Week 8. Week 8. I think that. So we'll set it at 7. I'll take the over. You take the under.
Parker 8. David 6. We're going to go over under at 7. All right, fine. So I feel like Jacob Eason was a 4th round, 122nd overall in 20. That's last year. No, yeah, last year. Yeah, I guess it counts last year. Sam Ellinger was a 6th round, 218th in this year's draft, and he's out of Texas. And then Brett Hundley was a 5th round, 147 overall in 2015. So none of these guys are like 1st, 2nd, 3rd round draft picks.
Right.
They're not, Brett Hundley has experience playing with the Packers. And some mobility, a little more than those other guys. Brett Hundley's a little more, escapable, let's say. I don't know. I feel like if Carson Wentz is healthy, he's going, and if not, it'll be Brett Hundley, and then one of those other guys will have to prove that they're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks. And
no way.
I say that, and yet they know that Carson Wentz is injury prone, so maybe they will for a couple weeks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Unless they're going to put one of them on the practice squad and hope that they, don't go sign with someone else.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to go with week 6. I think Carson Wentz gets hurt again because he does this every year.
Yeah, it stands to reason.
It's frustrating. I like Carson
Wentz. If you need, just don't pick him in your fantasy team.
Yeah. I'm rooting for him. I just don't think. Here's a bigger question: the 49ers.
Yeah.
Trey Lance or Jimmy G? Who's the quarterback for you right now?
Jimmy G.
I mean, Jimmy G. That's a good choice.
Jimmy G. He took you to a Super Bowl 2 years ago. And then last year, you had the most injured team I think I may have ever seen. So we'll call that a scrub of a season.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. He took you to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm okay with him.
Jimmy G just wins. He just wins football games. I mean, that's what he does. And he's good at it. Do you think that we'll see Trey Lance this year in any meaningful role? Or do you think that as long as Garoppolo stays healthy, that he's the guy?
They're smart. They'll keep him. They'll keep the clipboard in his hand. They'll keep him on the bench because Jimmy G learned from Tom Brady. You need to learn from Jimmy G.
Right.
And you need to be patient. If they use him at all, it's gonna be the way that the Raiders use Mariota, little distraction plays and things like that, little breaks or rest breaks for Derek Carr. They're gonna do that sort of thing. But I don't think they're gonna do much of that. I think that he's gonna get the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre treatment, or the Jimmy G, Tom Brady treatment.
Sure.
It's gonna be bench city.
If they struggle early because maybe their defense gets hit by injuries again or whatever, do you think you're going to see Trey Lance at all? Do you think that's a thing that they go, well, our season's kind of screwed?
I think you're going to have to get past the 8 or 9 game mark, and you're going to be looking at it and going, okay, well we're 5-4, or we're 4-5.
Right.
It's unlikely that we're going to compete in the division because it's a good division. It's unlikely we're going to compete down the stretch. I think maybe you'll see him. I would guess if you see him at all, it's probably going to be in the last 3 or 4 games of the season if they're doing terribly, but I could see them getting him in as early as, the 9th or 10th game.
And just to keep on our current theme, Jimmy Garoppolo is a 2nd round, number 62 overall in 14. And Trey Lance is the number 3 overall this year. So, I don't know. I don't know about this one. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy. I mean, I think he has to be. You have to keep him as your starter. And this is the way it's
Yeah,
supposed to be. Is that the backup guy is supposed to hold a clipboard for a year and learn.
in theory.
But
Yeah,
there's been again, there's going to be so much pressure put on if they don't perform well right away
right.
to play the guy that you drafted number 3 overall, because maybe he's the answer, even though he wouldn't be the answer to defensive issues. I don't know. It's weird. I just there's so much pressure put on these teams to play Tua, to play Trey Lance, to play these guys,
This guy for
because you
that guy.
drafted him.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, you spent all that money. We're gonna draft. Well, I mean, he needs some seasoning. Guys, rookies who come out and play right away out of college, rare are the that do well are the anomaly. They're not the norm. Um,
agreed. Agreed.
so and it makes what Justin Herbert did last year all the more amazing. You
Impressive.
just
Yeah.
don't see that stuff. So anyway, we'll see. Anyway, okay, so Niners, we're going with Jimmy G, right?
Jimmy G.
Jimmy
Yep.
G. Let's move on to the Patriots. Last one.
Okay.
Cam Newton,
Yep.
right? He's the incumbent. He's the
Yep.
guy that is on the tail end of his career. You got Mac Jones, right?
Okay.
Who they drafted number 15 overall this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and here's a crazy thing. I was looking at the pictures of Mac Jones, and he's wearing number 50 at in camp, right?
Weird.
And so I literally had to ask the question, why is he wearing number 50 in camp? And by the way, it's a Patriots thing. It's a Patriots thing to number all of their draft picks either in the 50s or 60s, depending upon when they were drafted in the draft. You have to have that number through training camp.
Weird.
That's what I said. I don't recall
That's
that being a
that's
thing, but
really
apparently that's a
strange.
thing. It's hazing. You're number 50, rookie. You don't get to be your number.
I don't know what
So
number you like, but this isn't it.
Cam Newton was the number 1 overall pick in 2011.
Yeah.
So, is there any scenario? Here's my question, and I don't really care who starts this game because I don't think the Patriots are that good. Who starts their season? I think it doesn't really matter. Cam Newton is probably he's the more experienced guy. He's going to start. I just think that's the thing, and Mac Jones is going to be that clipboard guy. Is there any scenario in which Jarrett Stidham gets a chance to play quarterback,
Injury.
other than injury?
No. No.
Even if they're playing poorly, even if they put in Cam and he's awful, and then Mac Jones is awfuler, worser,
No.
more worse. What's the
Nope.
term?
There's no way. No, there's no way unless if Cam Newton is fully healthy, they don't come in. If they're 2-15, 2-14,
In the last game.
the one game left. Yes, there's your scenario.
So you think Jarrett Stidham should probably just get out?
I think he should just wait his turn because I don't think
He's
Cam
not gonna
Newton's going
get
to be
a
that good, and that they're going to get rid of Cam Newton after this year, and then he'll have a shot.
No, they'll just pull somebody else in.
I don't think so.
Jarrett Stidham, 4th round, number 133 overall in 2019, and saw a few games last year. Action a little bit over the last 2 years,
Right.
I guess. But yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So-
this is what I see.
You got do you have something you want to talk about? Vent
I
for a
do
minute?
not know. No, I
Can
did
you
not
make
plan.
something up
I
off
did
the top
not
of your head?
plan for the minute. Not particularly. Nope, I was not prepared for that question.
NFL, NBA. You want to talk about how bad your Broncos are? You want to talk about how bad the Blazers are? Quick question. Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers, this is his last year in Green Bay. Where does he play football next year?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't know what teams are going to shake out. Team like Green Bay or not Green Bay. Sorry, the Patriots would be a good spot for him if
Yeah.
Cam Newton does poorly. But I don't know if Cam Newton's going to do poorly.
Do you think that there are quarterbacks that would shy away from that job in New England because of Bill Belichick? His system, his attitude, the way he does things?
No,
Okay. Not a veteran quarterback wouldn't go, I don't want to deal with that.
I don't think it's going to cause that kind of issue. No.
Okay. Second question. Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
Where does he play basketball next?
After this season,
If assuming Portland doesn't
he's playing
address-
basketball in Portland
in
this
year. Correct.
Yeah.
Assuming that they don't address his issues and they do the exact same thing they do every year, which is make it to the
And
playoffs.
then he wants to leave.
Yeah. Where would he play basketball next year? Just as a guesstimate. You know the current landscape and who's picked up who a little bit in the free agency.
Insert X team, any team. could use him as an upgrade at their point position. Any team
Probably.
at all, any team, does not matter. Every team would bounce their current starting point guard for Damian Lillard. The only exception might be Kyrie in Brooklyn. And also, man, you'd probably still bounce Mike Conley out of Utah.
All right.
You might get rid Suns. The Suns won't bounce Chris Paul or Devin Booker.
No.
So he doesn't have a point there. So if he leaves, I'm going to say he's going to go back to Golden State. He's going to go play alongside Steph in his hometown, or he'll go to the Lakers, or he'll go. I mean, the Clippers would be a magnificent spot for him in terms of just overall team placement and things like that. But yeah, any team. It's too hard to say because the new team has, a lot of players. You go like, oh well, where would LeBron play? It's like, well, let me find a place that has a small forward fit or issue and blah blah blah. No, every team has point guard issues.
Okay.
Every team could use Dame.
Rapid fire question. These are not rapid fires like I like them to be. But rapid fire question number 3. The U.S. men's national soccer team won the Gold Cup, beat Mexico 1-0 in the final.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Are they going to qualify for the World Cup this year?
No. I just don't have faith in them. That's all.
Yeah, that's again.
I mean, they very well they've been playing like they will,
right?
But I don't know if they will.
That's again one of those you need to prove to me that you can do it before I'll root for you kind of things because you let me down already.
Yeah, to date I have no faith in them. So, I mean, I thought they were going to lose that game and they snuck that game out.
Yeah, right at the end. It was good though. It was a good game to watch actually. I mean, if you don't mind 0-0 ties.
I was going to say you could have slept through 80 minutes.
Yeah, but there was a lot of excitement in it. Just wasn't scoring. That's the thing about soccer is you've got to appreciate the opportunities, not necessarily all the nonsense that goes on.
Gotcha.
And there's a lot of nonsense. So what are you gonna do? Are you a big fan of Little League baseball at all?
Not really. I like when they put the funny things up on their screens.
Right. They're all in the regionals right now. Playing in their regional finals, and just letting you know, the Oregon team is still in it from Lake Oswego, Oregon, playing Cody, Wyoming, literally right now in a regional like semifinal. The winner will actually get to go to the College World Series because they're taking 2 teams from each regional this year and not 1.
That makes sense.
So there's that. Just letting you know. If you know where Nolensville, Tennessee is, I have no idea where they are.
No, I've never heard of it.
No, I lived in Tennessee. I have no idea where Nolensville is. Their team is playing, well, they played earlier, but they played Palm City, Florida, but there's a re-air of that on ESPNU if you want to watch it. Also, the Abilene, Texas team is playing Lafayette, Louisiana at 9 p.m. That's also a re-air. But all the regionals are happening right now. Winners of all of these games are headed to the College World Series. So
yeah.
You can watch them all, ESPN Plus if you got it, if you're paying for it. Otherwise, some of them are on ESPN, some of them are on ESPNU. They play at all kinds of weird times, which, it's because summer break. They can play whenever they want.
Right.
All right. Trivia question. You ready? Steven Stone trivia question was, the Lakers' current roster will have an average age of 31.83 years old at the start of next season. What's the record for oldest average age for an NBA team? Got an answer?
I'm going to guess 33.
Oh, that's a good guess, but it's actually younger. So it's the 97-98 New York Knicks, who had an average age of 31.76. That's the current record.
Dang.
So if the Lakers continue this team, if they keep this roster, they will have the oldest team ever to start an NBA season in terms of average age. The 97-98 Knicks had 35-year-old Anthony Bowie, 33-year-old, that's not right. It's not 33. It's supposed to be 36-year-old Chris Dudley, 35-year-old Patrick Ewing, 34-year-old Pete Myers, I don't know who that is, and a 34-year-old Charles Oakley, 37-year-old Buck Williams, and a 39-year-old Herb Williams on their team. Wow. So that's a lot of over 30, 35 guys on one team.
By the way, in 2010, Chris Dudley was the Republican nominee for Oregon.
Right. Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yeah, he turned a politician, sort of. I mean, he didn't win.
He tried.
He didn't win. But, yeah. Anyway, that team was 43 and 39.
Cool.
The youngest player on that team was 25 years old. That was Ben Davis. So there's that for you. Just a little trivia. Everybody should know that this will be the oldest average age team in NBA history. the Lakers come next year. And so that somehow was an upgrade. They added Russell Westbrook, and Melo didn't help them with their average age at all. So he never does. What are you going to do? So, but I'm just going to let you know. So, on the positive side, looks like we got a lot of people watching or listening this evening. I want to thank thanks to everyone, for listening and being a part of it. That's all we have for today, though. We're going to be back next Wednesday, I think. We're in a state of flux here at the Best Lamb Sports Show, and it's because of job issues and moving things around. Schedules are all different and weird, so we're trying to make sure that we can put out a product for you every week. These may be recorded. We may have to record them Monday or Tuesday to play on Wednesday, but we're going to try and put something out on Wednesday, whether it's live or pre-recorded. But at least you get a show, so we'll put out a product every Wednesday. So next Wednesday there'll be something on. More sports news, discussion, debate, trivia, all that kind of stuff that we play, that we do all the time.
Right.
Yeah. So, again, we're live streaming on YouTube every week. We're on Twitter, @Lamm Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can email lambsports@gmail.com. Send us your information and what you want to hear, what you like, what you don't like. Tell us we're stupid. I don't care. We'll read it. We want to thank our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarns, Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media, LLC. Thanks for listening.